What's the lowest level you can beat Pokemon Red and Blue using a Rhydon? We are on to Lorelei. So unfortunately, due to Rhydon's typing, it is not going to fare well against Lorelei, meaning we are going to have to start at a relatively higher level. So at level 65, we're going to start to outspeed the Dewgong, so we have a chance at our one-hit KO move attacking or hitting. And then we also are going to one-shot the Cloyster at this level as well with a Thunder. Cloyster doesn't have the best special, so that is good to see. So now we're going to go ahead and mimic Amnesia. We are doing this just in case we get hit with Jinx's Ice Punch, because that will knock us out. And we are just hoping that Slowbro can use Withdrawal. We don't want to see Water Gun, even though it's such a bad move, it does a lot of damage. And it seems to be about a 50-50. She'll go for either Withdrawal or Water Gun. Luckily for us, we did get our Amnesias up by the time it hit, so we are good to go. And then we're going to use Thunder and one-hit KO the Slowbro. And then out comes Jinx, and Jinx has really bad defense, so we're going to go ahead and Body Slam. The other thing to note is we are not leveling up. If we level up, we would not outspeed the Jinx, and we would be taking damage. So being this high of a level also helps us for that. And then we are also going to go ahead and outspeed and Thunder the Lapras for a one-hit KO. So the question I ask you is, what's the lowest level you can beat Pokemon Red and Blue using a Rhydon? We are on to Bruno. So if we go ahead and take a look at Rhydon's stats, the HP is okay, the attack and the defense are great, and the special and speed are just atrocious. Meaning some Pokemon it is going to wipe the floor with, and others it is going to have a really hard time. If we look at the moves that we can learn here, the moves by level up are alright. Having any one-hit KO move in these runs is very nice. And then if we go ahead and take a look at the type coverage, we have Rock type, Electric type, Ground type, Water type, Fighting type. So there's a lot of different type coverage that Rhydon has, which is going to put it in a tier above Golem and other Rock Ground Pokemon that don't have that. It can also learn Bubble and Water Gun, but there's not a huge use for Water type moves in the Elite Four. And even though its special is so bad, there's enough Pokemon like Onix and Dragonite that it is going to be beneficial for us to use special type moves. But as per usual, Bruno is hot garbage, and there we go. We take out Bruno. So the question I ask you is, what is the lowest level you can beat Pokemon Red and Blue using a Rhydon? We are on to Agatha. So luckily for us, we know Earthquake. In Gen 1, there is no Levitate, and all of Agatha's Pokemon are Poison type, so this is pretty free. However, Rhydon, even though it does have great attack, great defense, and great type coverage, its speed and special are not very good. So we are not going to outspeed everything, leaving us open to either be put to sleep or be confused, which are about the only things that can go wrong in these runs. So we're going to go ahead and move back to Earthquake. We get a free shot here because she switches to Arbok. There's about a 7-point-something% chance that Agatha's going to switch at any time. And then out comes the Haunter again. We will not be outspeeding, so we do get confused, which is not ideal. However, we do break through confusion. So then all that leaves us left is with the last Gengar. Now this Gengar does not have Hypnosis, so that is pretty sweet. So if we can just not hit ourselves in confusion too much, we should be good to go. But with this high of health, I am not overly concerned. We get our Earthquake off, and that's going to one-hit KO the Gengar, and that is Agatha for you. Not much of a lottery, but not totally free. So the question I ask you is, what is the lowest level you can beat Pokemon Red and Blue using a Rhydon? We are on to Lance. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use Thunderbolt to try to knock out the Gyarados. It's not going to work. It uses a Hyper Potion, so we're going to go ahead and use it again, hoping for that crit. No luck. We get Paralysis, which is sweet. Gyarados gets off a Hydro Pump. Ooh, one-hit KO. So I just left that part in there to show you that even though it looks like things are free, I got very good luck, and I still can't get past the Gyarados. So I know I'm at a high level, and I know some of these are looking smooth. But let me tell you, it is not a walk in the park. So we're going to go back, and we're going to try Lance again. And we need something similar to happen. We either need to get a critical hit on the Thunderbolt, or we need to get Paralysis, and then Gyarados needs to be paralyzed. That's kind of what we're hoping for. So as you can imagine, there's a fair amount of resets. So we get the same deal, Hyper Potion. We're going to go Thunderbolt again. And then we are going to get the Paralysis, which is sweet. And then it is fully paralyzed. So that's what it takes to get past the Gyarados. And it will use Hydro Pump every time. We could also hope for a Hydro Pump miss. That is an option as well. I end up going for Earthquake. I just want to see how much it does. I know the Dragonairs don't have that great at defense, and it does go ahead and knock it out. And we grow to level 67. At this point, we have the option. We could either try to mimic Agility, or we could just go for the Earthquake. At this point, it just makes more sense to go for the Earthquake. Because there's not a whole lot the Aerodactyl can do to us. A Hyper Beam's not going to do a lot. And Supersonic's probably the worst thing that we could see. So we're going to go ahead and just Thunderbolt the Aerodactyl. Our special's not that good, but we know it's going to be a 2-hit KO either way. The Supersonic doesn't hit, which is sweet. So that means we can go into the Dragonite and go ahead and use Ice Beam, 2 times super effective. So even though our special is very bad, we're still going to be able to do a fair amount of damage to it. Hyper Potion's no big deal because we know that it's going to be a 2-hit KO either way. It goes for Barrier, we go for Ice Beam, and we go ahead and knock out the Dragon. So there you go. That is Lance. The question I ask you is, what is the lowest level you can beat Pokemon Red and Blue using a Rhydon? We are on to Blue. So the Pidgeot's pretty free. We're just going to go ahead and use Rock Slide. It's a physical attacker, so there's really not a whole lot it can do to us that would matter. Then out comes Alakazam. It will outspeed, but that is okay. We're going to go for Earthquake. We really don't want to see a Psychic there. The reason being is our special is so bad, but we wouldn't be knocked out, but coming in with full health is great. We're going to go ahead and Earthquake. We do have Rest now, just in case Alakazam does go for Psychic. We would rest on the Rhydon. However, we didn't need to do that this run. Arcanine's not bad. We're just going to go ahead and Earthquake. And that should be a 1-hit KO here. Out next is the Executor. We don't want to see Hypnosis, but Barrage and Stomp really can't do a whole lot to us. So it's really not a huge concern. So it is going to put us to sleep, so we're going to have to play that game for a little bit. If somehow we got such bad luck that it ended up actually doing damage to us, we could just rest. Remember, in Generation 1, the opponents, the computer players, don't actually have PP, so they can use moves as much as they want, and they will never go to struggle. But also these moves do next to nothing, so this just goes to highlight how Rhydon is very good against certain Pokemon and very bad against others. So we're going to go for that Rock Slide. Someone in my live actually told me to do this. I was using Earthquake, and Earthquake was a 3-hit KO for whatever reason, but Rock Slide, I couldn't tell you why, is doing more damage, so it turns out to be a 2-hit KO, so thank goodness for live. Because as you can see, this Executor is a pain and the reason why the video is so long. But again, don't forget to drop a comment, even just a little emoji, just helps with the algorithm. So all your small content creators, if you do like them, just drop an emoji in their comments and it helps boost them out a little bit more. They will appreciate it, I promise. But that being said, we go ahead and we're going to rest up because the Blastoise is a pain. It will use Blizzard, it will use Hydro Pump. We got to get lucky and hope for withdrawal, but we really can't be getting hit with the Blizzard with our special being so bad. And after going through all this work to just die by a Blizzard, believe me, it happened a couple times. If you were in the live, you would have seen. But once we get through this Gen 1 sleep drama, we will wake up and we'll go ahead and use our final Rock Slide. I do believe an Earthquake would have KO'd it at that point, but we just went for Rock Slide. So then we're going to go ahead and go for Thunder. It goes for withdrawal, which is very good. Just about half. It goes for Blizzard. Not ideal. Not ideal. We hang on. We go for Thunderbolt, and it's not quite killing it. It goes for withdrawal, so we got very lucky there. So that is the run, level 68. So the question I ask you is,